Pete had this follow-up question. He says, how does someone get warranty or support that doesn't live in California? I live in Florida, and I've been considering your MH1 and a Coachman Beyond, just worried about not having access to a service facility. So that's a question from Pete.
Yes.
Good question.
So this is something that we tackle a couple different ways. So first of all, one thing to understand is that when people come to take delivery from us, we understand that many times their first usage of our van is going to be a vacation when they drive their van home, and it could be all the way to Florida from California. So we're kind of, we're prepared. We are proactive about that. You don't need, well, I'm not going to say this, but I see in a lot of groups where people have these massive lists of things to double check for before they drive off from their RV dealership purchase, because there's a lot of defects that are sitting right there on the dealer lot. We're going to do that inspection for you, and we have a big long checklist. So that experience is quite a bit different from what I read in the groups about how we deliver a van. We expect you to drive this on a vacation straight at home, and we build it that way and we deliver it to you that way. So secondly, we have a 1-year warranty. If you actually look at the wording of our warranty, technically it requires you to bring the vehicle back to our service center in California, to our factory, but that's actually not what happens in practice. What happens in practice is that we are willing to let you take your RV to any RV dealer. So I heard actually in your commercials over and over again that Sunshine State will treat any RV owner just like as if they had bought the RV at Sunshine State, and I think that's an amazing thing in today's world, because there's so many people, especially out here on the West Coast, are like, you didn't buy your RV here, you're not going to get a service appointment. The good news is
it happens. I've seen it happen in
the
other
good news
places.
is, because of our flexibility, we're not going to necessarily require you to take your van to even an RV dealer. You could take it to an RV repair center, and then what we'll do is we'll work with you to pre-authorize any inspections and repairs, and to reimburse you if that's what happens for the repairs. We'll send out parts. And again, for people that have concerns about this, what they can do is they can get on our Facebook owners and ask real owners. We have owners all over the country. We have owners in Florida, and ask them about their experience with what happened when they did need to have some service done in Florida, and see how it works. After the 1 year's up, we're still going to support whoever it is, because what happens is, actually, interestingly, now that I've been doing this for 5 years, I learned that not everybody keeps their ModVans vehicle forever.
Right.
Sometimes we'll support the next customer down the line, the same way that we support the original owner. Also, ModVans qualify for extended warranties. Now that the pandemic has kind of relieved some of the pressure from RV dealers and repair centers, I think that's a new option that's come up, and you can actually get one of those extended warranties for out to 7 years on both the chassis, the Ford Transit, and the conversion, which is the part that we build. So that's an option for people who want to have control over how much repair could potentially cost, and those are nationwide, those warranties. And then the last piece of the puzzle is that the Ford Transit itself still covers the original factory warranty. That's the thing that's probably going to be most likely to be expensive and difficult to repair. We do encourage customers to get even the extended warranties from Ford on their Ford Transit chassis, so that if their engine blows up at 100,000 miles, that it could be covered by that warranty. Because the Ford factory warranties are pretty affordable. So if you don't get, like, let's say a 7-year warranty that includes the chassis itself, that go ahead and get that Ford factory warranty. Those Ford warranty is, you can take it to almost any dealership. So that's one big advantage. We didn't talk about this with the Ford chassis. Ford dealers are used to working on trucks. They're used to working on vans. You can go to 3,000 or 4,000 Ford dealers all over the U.S., all over Canada, on the way to Alaska. Many dealerships in Alaska that can all work on your Ford Transit van.
Yeah. So it's, I think there's a lot of people that realize this, but obviously, if you're getting a Class B van, you've got two things going on: the chassis, which in this case comes from Ford, or it could come from Mercedes or Ram, and then you have that actual coach build, which some people call it. I don't know what you guys call it, but
we call it conversion.
The conversion, so the conversion side of your build. And yeah, I would agree. So I've spoken to folks who who are dealing with Mercedes and the Sprinter vans, and they have to go on waiting lists for like 6 months to get an oil change, for example.
Yeah, there's certain areas of the country that are very challenging for Mercedes service.
Yes. Now, when it comes to Ford, can you run into issues? Yes. I live right outside of Gainesville, and my local Gainesville dealership, if you call them up right now, they'll say it's a 2 week wait. And they actually want that van over there for 2 weeks sitting there, which doesn't make any sense to me. But I live outside of Gainesville and closer. Well, actually, I think it's like the same distance. But in the countryside, there's a Ford dealership that if I called them up right now, they would probably tell me, "Okay, come in tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning." Yeah. So
and that's how it is. We had dealers that
mhm.
told people, "Oh, we can't work on your whatever." And then they literally called the next dealership over, and they were like,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, bring it in. We love off-roading in our Ford vehicles.
Yeah,
We'll
and
take care of it."
I think like I've traveled a lot, and there's only one time I came across a Ford dealership that had like a bad thing, and it was actually when I was in California. And I asked you about it, and you're like, "Oh, we don't like those guys either." So that all of that could happen, but with Ford, there's just a big network out there for now.
Yeah,
I think
10 miles away, there's another dealership to choose from.
yes, and I think that's for now. I know that with the electric vehicles and things like that coming in, there are these big OEMs that are planning on cutting back on dealerships, etc. But I think for a long time, we're still going to see a lot of Ford dealerships out there. The one I go to in the country is really great. I would say to people, 100% on that chassis, you want to extend that warranty. I've owned my van for 2 years, probably a little bit over 2 years, and I'm probably at 53,000 miles already. So way
Yeah,
past the
so
factory warranty.
just shop out that warranty like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not a ModVans customer, if you're a ModVans customer, we'll
Mm-hmm.
help you. But
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
shop out like crazy. You can get a
Mm-hmm.
really good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to quote prices here, but to me, like the price for getting like 100,000 mile warranty, extending the powertrain warranty out to 100,000 mile with a Ford, genuine Ford warranty was very approachable.
Yeah.
Like
And it's worth it.
yeah,
You've just got a lot of computers in these things. If you have all-wheel drive, there's extra stuff that could
yep.
go wrong. And so
And
I think it's worth it.
you have an expensive coach, that was built on top of it. So
Mm-hmm.
the choice is different. We all know about the vehicle that has 400,000 miles on it, and the transmission goes, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
that's it, we're cutting it off. But what if you have a van that has 80,000, 90,000 miles on it, and the engine goes out? And maybe no
Yeah.
fault of anybody, right?
Yeah.
You're Because it was such a significant investment up front, you're very likely that you're going to have to, it's going to make financial sense. But now all of a sudden you're talking about a $20,000,
Mm-hmm.
motor and turbo. With these modern engines, they are very expensive, and that's where I think the warranty really starts to make sense. It's like, okay, you don't have to make that hard choice. You're like, okay, well, I'll pay the deductible on the warranty or however that works.
Yeah. It's going to be worth it. That's my impression. And I think we've got